Hey everybody! This week we're going to talk about bread from heaven. This is about Moses and the Israelites right after they left Egypt. Right after Moses crossed part of the Red Sea and they walked across kind of under the water per se, with the water split on either side. And this is how God provided them as they traveled for 40 years. The people lived like this for 40 whole years. Let's hear a little bit about what it was like for them. Children of Israel followed Moses in the desert, but there was nothing to eat. We should have stayed in Egypt, they said. Everyone was hungry. Moses asked God to help them. I will send bread from heaven for the people to eat, God said. The next morning, the ground was covered with something small and round. Bread from heaven, they said. God has sent us manna for us to eat. They filled their baskets and took the manna home to cook. It tasted like honey biscuits. God said, only take enough for one day. But some people forgot. The next morning, the manna left over was full of worms. God told Moses, today get enough manna for 2 days. Tomorrow is the day to rest. It is the day for thanking God. The next day there were no worms. God looked after the children of Israel when he sent bread from heaven. God looks after you too. So think about it. This little tiny pieces of bread came down from heaven every night, and that's how they lived, and that's how God fed them in the wilderness while they were trying to get the promised land for 40 whole years. People lived like their entire lives like this. So what wasn't in this particular telling of the story is the manna came down in the morning, and then they got something else in the evening. Does anybody know what that is? That's right, it's quail. Quail is a little bird, and they would eat it for meat like we eat chicken. So even when they were like in the worst place, when they were wandering in the wilderness trying to find where they're going, with Moses, God was providing for them. And God provides for us in our lives, even when we think he's not. He provides for us in super unexpected ways. Like these people probably never thought that bread was going to come from heaven, come from the sky for them to eat every morning. Doesn't that kind of sound a little crazy? It shows us how God can provide for us in those bizarre ways that maybe we never thought we wanted, or we could have, or we needed. We never know what God's ultimate plan is going to be. But he has a plan for each and every one of us, and he loves us all. So we're going to make a craft about the bread from heaven. For this craft, you're going to want several different colors of construction paper, including white, blue, green, and then any color you want your tent in your bowl to be. A pair of scissors, a glue stick, and a marker. So your blue paper is going to be your background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my green paper right on top, and then I'm going to draw a line that's just going to kind of be the ground with my green paper. And then I'm going to cut that on my green paper. Then I'm going to glue it down onto my blue paper. So there is my green grass on the ground. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my tent. So I'm going to take my orange paper and I'm just going to cut a big triangle out. Then I'm just going to cut the paper, and then I'm going to fold these two parts up to make a tent flap. And then I'm going to just glue my tent down onto my paper. And then if you want, you could glue your flaps down, or you can just let them kind of sit. And then I'm just going to make a little bowl for collecting my mana. So I'm just going to cut a half circle out of my paper as well. And then I'm going to glue my bowl down. The next thing I need to do is I need to collect my mana. So I'm going to take my white paper and I'm going to just cut off a strip of it. So the Israelites had to collect the manna off the ground, and it was not pretty. It was just little pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rip my white paper into lots of little pieces to represent my manna. And then, once I have enough that I think it'll mostly fill up my bowl, I'm going to push it to the side, and then I'm going to put some glue on the top of my bowl. And then, I'm just going to take my little paper strips, and I'm going to just kind of sprinkle them and put them down on top of my bowl to represent my manna. This just kind of reminds me that it wasn't pretty, but it was God providing for everybody. And sometimes God provides for us in ways we never would have thought. So there is my bowl of manna. And then I'm just going to add a Bible verse to my picture. He gave them bread from heaven. That comes from John 6:31. I hope you had fun making your craft this week. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in Sunday school. Bye!